Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio. Wow, that was interesting. Business Radio X. We are broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I don't think I've ever said it like that.
That was great.
And I think I probably have 200 shows under my belt. Joseph, welcome to the studio.
It's a first. Thanks for having me.
It
I
is a
appreciate
first.
it.
We just established that.
It's a first.
For our listening and viewing audience, this is my buddy Joseph Scarpignato, and he is the broker, owner, and realtor at Phoenician Properties Realty, LLC. And I thought you'd been on with us before. I literally had to pull up proof. Shout out to Alicia Horn with True Mortgage, who connected us. It's been several years ago.
It's a long time.
Before the pandemic and when I was in my first studio. So that's been almost 6 years.
Easy.
And yet, this is the first guest experience.
First time,
I'm excited about our conversation today and hearing about what's hot, what's going on in the real estate industry, the trends, what should we be watching for, how you show up on behalf of your clients. You've been doing this a long time.
Really long time. Yes, like 20 plus years.
Yes. So tell us about yourself and really your real estate journey. We got all day.
Well, hi. I pride myself on my biggest things in my life is my family. So I don't like to start out just about, what I do for a living, but my family is so important to me and it means everything to me. So, in fact, my bio usually starts out saying that I'm a father, a husband, and a son and a brother. So it's one of those things that without that, everything else seems to kind of fall back to me. So realized and discovered a long time ago that not one thing defines me. There's a lot of things that develop into an individual, and there's the goods and bads, and you just don't focus on the bads, try and focus on the goods and move forward. So that's it. As far as real estate, got involved, about almost 30 years ago in town here, been local, been enjoying it. I've seen it go up and down several times in the market, from S&L problems to the problems we had back in 2008, and then, our current events today where we're seeing interest rates higher and low inventory, and there's a lot going on. A very confusing market today. So much different than a lot of other ones, but there's a lot of opinions and there's a lot of advice, and, you're just going to have to go with your gut. So it's one of those things where it's a little, tenacious there. So
mostly residential for you?
Yes. I do some commercial for my clients, but been doing residential almost my entire career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And both sides, selling and helping with the purchase.
Listing houses, helping people buy houses,
Yeah. Help us understand the comparison between what we've been going through recently and 07, 08.
Sure.
It's a confusing time.
People consistently talk about the bubble that we talk about in the real estate market, where the bubble opened up, and then 07, 08, where the loans got cut off because there was a lot of bad lending, not bad loan officers, but bad institutional lending ideas of there's no responsibility for loans. It was basically show up, sign your name, and you got a house, and or multiple houses. So it was a lot of people buying whatever, and these were not well-backed loans, and it turned into a mess. So we lived through that and started coming out of it in 11. And recently where we're at is because of inflation, the feds have raised the rates drastically, and that kind of falls on the tailwinds of COVID, where we kept the rates down to keep the market going. So it depends on whatever ideals you want, but the reality is today, I think we're in the low sixes, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. If you've been buying houses for years, people go, well, that's not really that bad. No, but the houses that when you bought it at 6 was probably half the cost it is today. So it's a lot harder for that individual to live in that same lifestyle. So rates eventually, when we do hit the recession, they call it, they will start coming down. That's the Fed's little trick that they do. And, depending on what kind of economics you are, what news show you listen to, they go up, they go down, but constantly people still need to live somewhere, have homes, have a place to live. People still use real estate as an investment. It's a very strong investment. Even in a down market, it seems to hold well. Even though this year they talk about the market cooling, we're still at an incredibly low inventory. Our inventory is at some of the lowest I've ever seen.
Really?
So there's a very shortage of housing. And with, a new person every 6 minutes, Maricopa County, I think the new statistics are that are moving here, people got to have somewhere to stay. Although if you look on every corner, they're building commercial, high-rise apartments, luxury as much as they possibly can.
Vertical.
Right. They're trying to fill that space.
Yeah.
Eventually, people didn't want a place to live. They want to own a home. They want to raise their family. They want to grow roots. And they want a return on their investment because a home is a forced savings plan. We say, literally it's going to go up eventually. So we've seen periods like, 07 where it went down for a little while. But everybody that stayed long-term, it's gone back up. So that's kind of the nutshell on where the market is today. But the inventory is so low because of that. People cannot afford to go buy the next house because they're currently at 3% or 2.5% interest they took advantage of in the marketplace. And if they go look at a house that's maybe even $200,000 more, they've got to sell the one they got and get a new loan for the larger amount, and that puts them out of the market. So they're holding, and they're not putting their houses on the market. So there's no move-up buyer. So builders were building as fast as they could, but they didn't build for several years because the market was bad. So that's behind. So we don't have enough home building going up. So that's kind of all the unhappy parts about the market. The good news is it's an incredible time to buy because you're not fighting with people like we did before. A year ago, I was putting in multiple offers on properties. I'd put a house on the market, and sometimes I'm looking at 25 offers on it in one day. And I have to go through it all and sort it out to help people out and protect my clients. And it became very, discouraging for a lot of buyers to try and buy a house. And now there's opportunities because the houses are sitting there and they're available. They're taking longer to sell. We're currently at about a 2.5-month inventory in the marketplace. So, which tells what that means is if you have a house on the market today, it might take up to 2.5 months to sell.
Even though the inventory is low, it's because of the situation with the rates and people aren't able to make that shift.
Exactly. It's just literally you're making a shift from 3% to a 6.5% interest rate. And even though you're like, well, it's a big difference. And then the concern is also, well, interest rates go down, right? More people can afford to buy a house, which means that puts more people in the marketplace. As interest rates higher and the higher cost of medium cost housing in the Phoenix metro market, that puts a lot of first-time low-end buyers out of the marketplace. You ask any lender, including Alicia, how hard it is for these. They go in, they get qualified, they talk about it, and they go out and look at a house, and all of a sudden they get under contract, and she gets a call, what's my payment?
Yeah.
And they cancel. They're panicked because it went from maybe they're paying their rent at $1,500 a month, and now they've got a $2,800 mortgage, and
it's a huge jump.
It's a huge jump. Yeah.
Yeah, even for ownership, I'm just not prepared to do that.
Exactly, and that's what happens right now. So whether you're waiting on the sidelines, you're looking at it, or you're in it, it's something that's going to take time to get through. Nothing new.
And as a realtor, and I know obviously you've been doing this for a very long time, relationships are everything to you. I already know that.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, when we first connected, really a good portion of your business is referral.
It's all referral. I've never been a whole buy lead type of person or ads. It's I literally take my time and spend my time with my clients, and hopefully I do a good job. So they refer me other people, and I get more business. So.
And when they're ready, they come back. I know that.
Yeah, I have people that I've known for 25 years. That all of a sudden they'll go, "Hey, we're going to sell the house, and we're going to downsize, or my grandchild needs something." Unfortunately, I can say that, but
right. I'm going to say my kid, but but for sure, it's already grandkids.
Yeah, but I've had a lot of kids, a lot of family members, and then I deal a lot with divorce, and I think we spoke about that before.
Yes.
And elder estates, which is one of those things where it's one of those topics that not everybody likes to talk about, but it happens so often. One of the biggest reasons we see a transition in housing in every market is because, well, someone will die, mom or dad dies, or mom can't take care of the house anymore, or mom and dad can't live in the house anymore, and they need to go from that place to maybe assisted living or something, or with a family member, and now you need to go in there and see what this has value is. And typically these homes are beautiful grandma's house, but it's still grandma's house, and it hasn't changed since grandma moved in. My mom's house is the same way.
My dad's too.
And I asked Mom, do you want a new kitchen or something? She's like, what's wrong with this one? I'm like, I got nothing. It's clean. Everything works. Everything's the same identical way. It looks like it was sealed in a plastic box all this time. But there's the reality. And new people come in and they don't want that. They want it all done. They want it all new. Whether the new colors are, the remodeled. Yeah. That's what people want. People don't want to come in and spend money after they buy a house anymore to do these things.
Yeah, I sold my house right at the beginning of the pandemic. I'd been in it for 25 years. It was a divorce situation, and I think that's the last time we may have spoken by phone. Interestingly enough, my first ex-husband sold the house for us, and he's the one that he and I bought it together. But he came in, and he's like, and I had red and purple walls, and it was my home.
Sure.
And a few things had been updated, but not much. And he's like, all right, here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to make some changes. We're going to wipe the slate clean so that's all clean walls. People can come in and they can visualize themselves here.
Absolutely.
And you got to get rid of a few of these things that are just not even popular anymore, like the built-in entertainment center and those things. So it was very helpful to have him. He's been in the industry, I think, as long as you have. And to have that partner, which is what you are, somebody who can help educate and have our best interest in mind is really what I hear you saying, and which is why people continue to come back to you and send their family and friends to you, because you care as much about the opportunity for us. And we talked about a death, of course, or downsizing for somebody who needs to go into senior living or a divorce situation. None of those are easy circumstances anyway, let alone throw in a sell or a purchase on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of stressful events all at once, right?
Incredibly stressful.
And lucky, you were fortunate you had someone that you trusted and cared about you to say, okay, Karen, we got to change this. We got to make this so you moved your house to the most vanilla possible.
Yep.
So that anybody could see, well, I could do this, I can do that.
Does everybody understand that though?
No, I mean, we get this all the time where I go into houses and it's so personalized that I have to have a conversation with the seller going, look, I understand these are all very important things to you, but we need to remove them all, put them in a box, put them away, and let people think about themselves in the house, not 100 pictures of your family. And I understand that you love your family, that brings you happiness, but they can't see them if they're looking at your pictures. And I used to make the joke, like if I got a client, I'm going through a house, and they're spending time looking at someone's photos on the walls of their family, they're visiting someone's house. They're not ever going to buy that house. So, little things like that, you have to kind of, but painting, taking out those old built-ins, I mean, they were everywhere. Those built-ins were put in everywhere. I mean, we make, but I think the key is that to get someone you trust. I make the joke in real estate is in this industry, you pay everybody about the same money. Everything's negotiable, but you can go and hire someone with a lot of experience that is good, or you hire someone that's brand new, or a buddy or a friend or a cousin. And the problem is it's a big experience. It's a big stressful thing. It's a lot of money.
And they're learning on your dime.
They're learning on you, and they don't always have the help they need. So do your research, find someone, there's a lot of great, realtors out there, and there's just as many people that are in it for a few months, and this is a part-time job or something else. So you kind of have to do your research, just like you would on anything else.
Yes. How popular are real estate licenses these days? I know for a very long time, right? And many people were getting licensed.
Oh, yeah, they still are. Oh, absolutely. This is how the schools stay in business. They love this, yeah. We're an easy thing. I mean, you literally can go to school in 10 days and get your real estate license. They call it the crash course.
Unless you're me, when I got mine.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, and here's the thing. Everybody knows a realtor or has a real estate license. Yes. I mean, we used to make the joke that there's 2 licenses, drivers and real estate in Arizona. So a lot of realtors, a lot of people that have come in the industry, a lot of people that still are part-time, a lot of people that just have their license parked somewhere and they're paying that little fee each month to whatever company that is that doesn't do any business in the hopes that someday they'll do a deal. And the problem is those people they do a deal, but they don't know what they're doing because it's been so long. They're not actively working on it. It's kind of like hiring that carpenter to build that room addition that did one about 20 years ago.
They know how. They can remember. Right.
They got the basic skills, right? But do they know what the new stuff is and the codes and the laws and the things that are required?
And the artistry. Because there's an art to, obviously, real estate. There's an art to building cabinets. There's an art to everything that we do. And that skill set is developed over time.
Right.
And I think that's important to have that as a piece of it.
I agree. I mean, it's in everything. I mean, it's in what you do. Yeah. If you weren't able to communicate with people on a great level, which is, I'm going to say, is probably a fantastic thing, because in this world that I see changing, including my own children, communication skills are slowly disappearing. And it's a very frustrating thing. And I see it in my own industry with younger people coming in where they won't even respond by phone. They only respond by text.
Right.
And they won't even, not even by email. It all has to go text.
It is text a lot now.
And I have to remind them that the contracts that they bear do not allow just for that. And they think they can get away with it, but and that's the argument for the authorities and how they govern this industry. But it's you've got to at some point talk to your people, talk to your clients. I don't understand. I mean, I'm old school, so my marketing is, hey, Karen, how you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Let's go have some lunch. I mean, that's literally how I do business. Mm-hmm. And my wife used to say for years, and someone would ask, what does your husband do? And she'd say, Joe meets with people. And that's like, well, yeah, so what's my day? Well, I'm going here, and that's it.
Just staying connected, caring about people.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun for me, so I like it.
Yeah. Where do you see the market then going? I know it's always hard to predict in real estate, but you did mention that there might be a little bit of a pause here.
Hold on, I think I brought that crystal ball, right? It's right here with us, right?
Not a fair question.
I send the pictures of crystal balls to my clients in a text constantly because that's
what's going on, Joe.
So, okay, I believe this is just me. Yes. I believe that we're going to see a reduction in interest rates in May. Mm-hmm. I think once the jobs reports come out and a few other things that hit, I'm hoping the Fed is not going to raise this month. And if they do, a quarter point. But I think once we hit the number, once they call it the recession, which I think a lot of us believe we've already hit there, but whatever, then the rates start going down. And that's a trigger effect. And it's just history playing out. I'm not crystal balling. It's just literally look at what's happened in the history, in this country, what's happened before. So these things are brought on by a lot of things. You can point in directions. People can point at everything in the world. What's caused it, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Here we are. So
again,
move forward.
A different form.
Right.
And you spoke to the crazy lending situation back in 2007, 2008. Yeah. Have we learned our lesson? And I asked that question because I've been reading about the banks lately and some of the crazy things that are going on with the banking industry.
So, well, I mean, Silicon Valley Bank just closed, right? That was just something that was recent in the news last month. And that's a regional bank. And there's differences between some of the big boys and the regional banks. But regional banks hold a lot of mortgages across this country. So there's a concern to watch that. But I don't think that was a very particular thing. They had money tied to an index that, if you look at it deeply, it's probably not something I'm going to see reproduce a lot. But not to get too particular about that, but I think the reality is we are going to see some changes. I'm not concerned about it. We had a crash in 2008 because people were buying houses without any money, without any jobs, without anything either other than a pulse. And when it came down to there was no equity in these properties and the market was going up. So once the market stopped going up, there was not room for anybody to sell without taking a loss. So it pushed us into a short sale market and a foreclosure market. It was false equity. And you're the smartest guy in the world if you followed it all the way up and you sold the last possible moment. But then if you didn't, you're caught. And so many people did. And none of the people have done anything wrong. It's just literally it changed so quickly, there wasn't time for a lot of people to get out. And if they got out early, they may have taken a small beating, but a lot of people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was reset moment, and it was not something that you can really blame people for. Because I remember when we were in the mortgage business, our reps would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, we can get you this great rate at 5%, stated income, stated nothing. There's nothing to do, just basically, driver's license, show up, and that's it. Or we can do a full doc loan with all your paperwork, all your loans, all your stuff, and we're going to give you an eighth of a point less." Well, people would be like, for an eighth of a point, I'll just take the eighth of a point, I'll take the other deal. Right. So they really were pushing this product, and it just became what people wanted. So, so in fact, so much I still every once in a while someone will call me going, "Well, can I just go with stated income loan?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but there's a difference. Now we can do stated, but then you also have to have assets, or you have to have high credit, or you have to have a combination of a job and a large amount of money down." Mm-hmm. And none of those options were available for it. Those were just show up and sign and take a house.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
It was...
So I mentioned that I sold my house a handful of years ago, and I still get text messages and phone calls on a regular basis for that address. It drives me nuts.
Well, everybody does.
The robo.
I mean, they call me. They call. Yeah. I get a text every couple hours about,
Same.
Yeah, and it is frustrating. And until Congress passes the do not call list for cell phones, and now they're adapting it for text messaging, which is the good news is it's bipartisan. It's going to pass eventually, just getting it done. That'll clear up that. But the investors are out there. And one of the reasons I got involved with elderly is because I got so tired of hearing about older people that were taking advantage of this marketplace with their life savings by some of these unreputable investors. Now, look, there's a lot of good investors out, guys, that do a good job, communicate, and they're just making money. And I represent some of them, and a lot of people do. No problem. They want a deal, of course, but they're not trying to hurt somebody, okay? These people go into training on how to befriend the elderly person. Their number one target typically is grandma who's left alone in the house, has no one around to help her. And they go and they befriend her, tell her how happy they are to help her, and that, whatever they can do to make things better. But then they'll sit there and go, well, what'd you buy the house for? And maybe grandma bought it for $18,000 back in 1965. And they're like, well, okay, well, we can give you, how about $200,000? That sounds like a lot of money, grandma. And she says, no, that the house is worth $550,000.
Right.
And these people sign these contracts that are ironclad, and then they take that and they don't even buy the house. They take it and they resell it off. Luckily, we've started a new law this year that if you're an investor and you're going to resell the property, it has to be disclosed in the contract. Otherwise, the deal can be canceled by the seller, and the seller gets to keep their earnest money.
Within what time frame do they have to?
Immediately. So during the purchase contract, it has to state in there they're an investor. They plan on to resell the property, and they're buying it for. And if they're selling it, they have to disclose in there they're only held equitable ownership, and someone else owns it, and they're trying to sell it for a profit. So these things weren't forced before, so that just started this year. That law was coming down the book, so it finally just started. And I know a couple of friends that's already helped out.
Good.
A buddy of mine is a broker from the company, said it had a transaction where it happened and literally got the money back for the seller. And they thought they were, this particular investor had a realtor and thought they were smarter than everybody else, and it just didn't work out for them. So,
thank goodness.
But that was one. So we're trying to find more things to help elderly people because they get taken advantage of so much.
Yep.
They don't know who to trust, and it's something that I tell people, look, whether you're going to hire me or not, if you don't know, just call me. I'll give you the complete breakdown of comps, what it's worth. And people ask the question, like, you went ahead and did something that was great. You listened to someone, but you had the means to fix that house, make changes. A lot of older people don't.
No.
A lot of divorced people don't.
Right.
This is what they got, and they'll say, hey, Joe, I don't have any money. I can't do that. What can we do? And I go, well, here are our options. We'll talk about selling it to an investor, that there's no repairs, no nothing. We'll talk about taking a loan to fix up the property. We'll talk about just selling it as is. We'll do all the different marketing, show them different values of what works for them, and let them make an informed decision. And that's all I can do is present the interest. Divorce happens a lot now because, well, when the economy gets tough, people lose their jobs. And if we see the jobs report getting worse, unfortunately, the number one cause of divorce typically is loss of a job, loss of income, loss of a business. And those things would cause us to split up a lot of times. And then we're forced to, okay, we're all tied to this asset. How do we split it up? And the problem with divorce is like I think I mentioned these years ago when we talked about it, is that with divorce, it's such a tricky thing because people go, well, like the trailing spouse, we call it, the person that wants to stay in the house. We'll say the mom wants to stay in the house. She's got the kids. This is where we grew up. Okay. Dad goes, okay, you can have the house. But he just goes ahead and has the attorney agree to that, and they hand over the house to her. But he's still tied to the loan. If we didn't qualify her and put her on the loan, if she doesn't qualify for the loan, he's stuck to that house forever, whether she makes the payment or not. It could change his credit, and it also stops him from buying another house. I've had attorneys I've did this for. I'm like, what did you do? And I have to go back and explain to them. They don't understand that they can't. They're tied to that loan still. So there's a lot of little things involved in that the attorneys may not be aware of, or the judges, because they're just going with the agreement is. And the judge doesn't look into it. He just says, oh, this is what you agreed to, and this is now the law. And then other people I've seen where the husband has gone out and given them the house, but they've used the house as an ATM, and they've been borrowing against it, and the wife doesn't even know there's a second mortgage in the property that she's now responsible for. So that's part of what we do with Channel Title. So we do a lot of research for divorced couples, and it's very transparent. So basically, regardless of who I work for, either side, because typically you get one or the other that says, okay. But it basically comes to transparency that literally everything gets sent to everybody as far as the property condition to create value. Because even though you may have a house that says it's worth X amount of dollars, and you can go get an appraisal. And I say this to attorneys all the time: what did you base the value on? They go, well, we had the house appraised. It came in appraised at $300,000. I said, great, but read the appraisal. It says right here two things that are not part of this: is the condition of the property and the chain of title. Are there any other liens on it? They're like, well, I don't know. Well, right. So what is the real value of the cash out either direction?
It's not the appraisal.
It's not the appraisal, right? And if there's repairs done, and we found houses that have had $25,000, $30,000 of repairs needed to be done. Now, if you were going to sell it, you'd have to spend that money to do it. So that changes the movement of money back and forth. So there's a lot of factors to it. And part of it is you just need to spend the time to get it done right. And then you can sell it or keep it, whatever's the right choice for you. But that's kind of one of those things that gets a little detailed with divorce. Elderly, we go to the same problem when there are no remaining parents, and now I'm dealing with maybe 4 or 5 brothers and sisters, and that can be hard.
Sure.
Siblings definitely have opinions. Some of them are very easy to get along with. Some of them have their own opinion of value and what should happen, and predominantly someone thinks that have the best idea over the others, and it holds up things. So unfortunately, at that point, sometimes the judge orders us to go ahead and make a decision to move it forward. But all these things can be, taken care of in advance if you just spend a little time with someone that can answer some questions for you. So that's the no fun part of the business.
Yeah. Yes. And yet, while it's not fun, and there's a lot of consideration and knowledge that you have to share, thank goodness people have you so that they, especially the people in your circle and the folks that you've helped, because it's this big sphere.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just keeps growing,
Yeah.
right? So over the years, the sphere grows to different things, but maybe because I'm older, these things that I'm telling people, they took time to accomplish and understand and be sufficiently do well for my clients. So like I said, there's a lot. You can go get your real estate license in 10 days. Learning this knowledge and be able to take care of your client. These takes a long time to get there. And I try to explain that. I'm not trying to pick me. I'm just saying, literally, do your research on people that have the tools in their toolbox to help you with what you have. So that's kind of it. I'm not trying to, there's a lot to know.
Yeah.
There's the 10-day course is the 10-day course, but there's a lot to this industry. And this is just residential real estate. This isn't this isn't land or multi-housing or commercial, which is, a whole nother, and property management, which is something that makes me, nauseous, but it's okay.
And areas in the valley that are fastest growing?
Ooh, let's get that crystal ball going again. But
well, no, just currently.
Fastest growing. Okay.
Well, maybe not even fastest growing, but what can you tell us about areas of the greater Phoenix? What's happening in greater Phoenix that we got to be aware of? I mean, like now that I'll head out to Queen Creek this afternoon to watch my 15-year-old play baseball, I anticipate seeing new builds.
Well, new builds are still going to be in the outskirts, whether you're Goodyear, Buckeye, Queen Creek. These are the areas that are left to develop. I mean, we've spread out. 20 years ago, Gilbert was a hot ticket. I mean, 25 years ago,
We're well
30
beyond
years ago.
Gilbert now.
Yeah, Gilbert is, in our rearview mirror. So I remember driving out there going through, seeing the cows back then, and now you're driving and, it's a big town. I mean, I make the joke. I went to Johnson Ranch to look at a property to list for somebody, and I was in my office at McCormick Ranch. And I went there and back, and I realized it was faster to drive to Prescott to see my house than it was to go there and back for the same amount of time. That's not because it took so long to get there. So it's a really big town. We're 5th largest, and we're very spread out.
Yes.
So, I don't know, the areas that are going to be better than others, certain areas hold their established value. And then as we get closer to the center, more industry is and more jobs, that typically will always hold a higher value. You're going to pay more money for the little house in Old Town, Scottsdale, or maybe in the Central Phoenix corridor, North Phoenix, or Central.
Even downtown Tempe these days.
Downtown
That's
Tempe,
where my first house was.
Right, it's gone up so much.
Oh my gosh.
Tempe's done a really great job of revitalizing, redeveloping what they have, because they've been kind of landlocked. I mean, they're tied in here, but they've done a great job. And now with the new development here coming up with the Coyote Stadium, if they can get that to go through and stop fighting with the city of Phoenix,
right.
Well, I don't understand that, but that would be a great thing for the area, and I think that would be very helpful. So
yeah. And you still love doing this work.
Yeah, still, I don't know what else I do.
It's what you've known.
Well, yeah.
When you were younger, you didn't grow up here?
I did. I grew up here. Yeah, I was originally moved out here with my parents from Chicago when I was 5 years old.
Oh, I didn't
grew up
know
in
that.
South Scottsdale. I still live there.
Yeah.
My wife makes the joke like, "Oh, can't leave, can you?
Right.
Like I live 2 miles from where you grew up." I'm like, I know. Yeah.
Where is she from?
She's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay.
She's up there right now with her mom, and
Nice.
hopefully they're having a great day. But yeah, it was snowing up there last week. And
Not snowing here. We're going to hit 98 or
I
99
know,
for the second day in a row.
It's warm.
We were
right?
very, very fortunate.
Yeah,
I mean, at
no.
least. But then we skipped spring.
It was for us. It was like this was the greatest spring.
It
Like,
was.
this
It was
is nice.
great.
I can't complain.
Where'd you go to high school then?
Went to high school, Coronado High School.
Coronado. Okay. I was thinking Arcadia.
My kids go to Arcadia now.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Arcadia.
Yeah.
So we're in that general area. But
Yes. Very good. We mentioned off air that we have kids the same age.
yeah.
Two boys, 15, and I've got one, and they're all freshmen.
Yes. They're
Crazy time. In fact, we just went up and picked up our first job application the other day.
really
At
we're at.
YC Mongolian.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently they pay well. They hire kids who are younger than 16. So he's eager and anxious in between baseball games, and he can work weekends. So
That's
we're
great.
working on that. And I was thrilled because he's like, yes, drive me there, get me I'll pick up an application, and soon he'll be driving. Well, he's driving right now. Do your kids have their permit yet?
No, one of them just took the test for the permit, so we're going to get that started this week. So yeah.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. I know.
Good luck to you, fine sir.
Listen,
Ivan is hilarious. He really is a great driver, and he commentates everything. I think it's the age of gaming or something, because I hear him do it when he's playing games in his room. But now he announces every move that's happening. Here comes a white car. I'm going to turn on my brake. I'm like, wow, this is going to be fascinating. You'll have to let me know how it does.
Yeah,
how the boys do.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So I asked why if you grew up here, and I'm curious, when you were younger, say your boy's age, did you know what you wanted to do for a living at that point?
No, I had no idea. I really kind of just fell into it. I was in the construction trade right out of college, and I was a superintendent in developing. And while I'm going to college, I was working construction sites in the summertime, and it was so hot out. And I was dying out there. And I looked over at there's a construction trailer outside. I make this joke all the time.
I want to be them.
And I see the guy in the door, and he's standing there in shorts and a shirt, and he's on his phone, and I'm, carrying some large piece of wood somewhere, dying of heat. And the air conditioner's blowing so hard, it's blowing his hair. So I will make the joke. I said to myself, I'm going to be that guy. So I went to school, and I got my degree to become a superintendent. And I got hired right out of college when I was still in college. So after an associate's degree, it was a boom, and got hired to go build, commercial buildings and houses and stuff. And then did that for a while. And then there was a housing crisis hit. And then got into the bar business for a while and started dealing with people and talking and communicating. And you get over your shyness really fast when you're standing by in a bar and there's 300 people screaming, want to drink. So it's... so when I got back into this housing industry, I realized I liked communicating and being with people more. So I got into the sales part of it. So I started in new home sales.
You did?
Yeah, I did 5 years in town here selling new homes. So I got a real good idea what it is to sit there at an open house every day, which is why I hate open houses.
Right.
To make the joke to my clients, I go, open houses are for people to pick up buyers. They don't sell houses generally. They're mostly to meet new buyers. So, but I learned a lot. It took a lot of years in different aspects of the business before I started a company and grew that. And then, I started the mortgage company with Alicia, and we did that and other things. And then back after the market changed, it was nice to get out of it all and go back to just taking care of people and sales. And it was kind of something that made me, realize I wish I'd never stopped. Because at one point, to grow the businesses, I stopped taking care of my clients and referred them out. And, so I had to start over again with clients. And people go, well, what about your clients from me? I'm like, well, some of them still talk to me. But, when you refer them out, they stop using you.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
But it's been great. I've been very, very, very fortunate, very blessed, and happy to do it, happy to help people.
Property management. I know you cringed a little bit when we talked about, but do you refer people out when they've got that aspect of the business they want to take care of, or do you handle some of that with people?
I don't do it. I refer it out.
Good.
Yeah, I 100% don't have any, no.
Yeah.
just
and there's people who that's their jam. They love to do
I've
that.
got some good people I know, and they're fantastic at it, and I wish them the very best. And, every time I've ever been asked about doing it, or I thought about bringing that into my wheelhouse, or into one of my companies or something like that, I looked at it really hard and went, no, this is just not for me.
Yeah, well, at least you're clear.
Yeah, well, at this point in your life, you may not know what you will do, but you won't do.
I think that's a good, healthy way to show up
right
at this age.
Like, I know at this point, I'm like, I might do that, but I know I'm not doing any of that stuff. So let's not, let's not pretend.
Yeah,
so.
But here's a good name and phone number.
Yes.
Text them.
I used to do that with a lot of, I had a lot of agents that would go to these training courses, and they'd come back with this big course and all these things they do to be successful. Because I mentored hundreds of agents for years, and what they would ask me is like, well, what works? What's the secret? And I go, well, the secret is they all work. Every system out there works. The secret is you have to do the system. People don't do what it's,
Yes.
Can you knock on a door and go get a client? Yes. Are you going to do it? Probably not. So you have to figure out what you will do and do it. And the other stuff, it's noise.
And being good with people, to your point.
I think, that's I think that helps, right?
Yeah,
try and get along with them, try and help them out. So.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
What is on the horizon for you for the rest of 2023? You guys have any big trips coming up?
We go to our cabin every year.
For the summer?
We'll go up there mid-June. I'll be back towards the end of July because the kids got school.
Yeah.
One of them's in marching band, so we have to be back a little early. But we have a cabin in North Wisconsin, right up by the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, where my wife's from. This was her grandparents' cabin, and we have this up there on a lake, and it's fabulous and a piece of heaven. And I go up there every year for at least a month.
Good.
And it's nice to get away with the kids and
get out of the heat. Close it down for a bit. Yeah.
It's wonderful, yeah.
So good.
So that's the plan. There's the summer. My only regret is that I have to come back for school right now.
And I don't know about when the boys' school year starts. Ivan starts in July, mid-July this coming year.
No, that's worse than I am. We start like the first week of August, and I thought that's
what it's been for years. And then they just switched. The Tempe Union High School District switched to match up with Kyrene and Tempe L. And so now it's 2 weeks in the fall for their break, 2 weeks at Christmas, 2 weeks in spring instead of the 1, 2, and 1. And then they start super early, mid-July.
I would prefer the way I went to school, which was Labor Day.
Yes.
When they, it was got out at Memorial Day, you went back at Labor Day, and you went to school.
Yep. Hasn't been that way for years.
For a whole, every week was full. It wasn't like, my kids go like, oh, I think this is the first full week of school we've had in like 2 months. Yes. I'm like, I know.
I am ready for him to drive. I'm ready for him to get himself home after the early release days, because as a single parent, it really is hard for me to get where I need to go.
I'm an Uber dad.
Yes.
I'm constantly. Yeah, I know.
Good. What passion do you have outside of real estate? I know, of course, family is critical for you, but do you have any hobbies? Do you golf?
Horribly, yes. I'm a terrible golfer. I enjoy it, but I don't get a chance to go. So I don't do a lot of golf. I'm a sports guy watching on the TV and going to a game or something like that. But I work out every morning just for my health, my mental health, more than anything else. And that helps me keep going. My routine starts about 5:30 and it goes until I exhausted about 9:30 at night. So it's a busy. I like to ride my motorcycle, so I have a Harley, and that's kind of fun. Go with some friends.
Does your wife like to do that with you?
She used to, and not so much now in the city. When we had a place in Prescott for years, up there she would ride me. It was great, but it's pretty. I'm one of those guys where I don't even like. I'll go out on the weekends. It's not very busy. Try and pick a time like on a Sunday or something. But there's some really bad drivers now. So
and it's again so congested. And every other street has construction right now. You can't get anywhere. I'm like, it's gridlock. I'm like, why do they have to have every road going this direction? Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's just going to take longer.
Right.
So I'm driving through neighborhoods.
Good. Yeah. Well, it has been a pleasure to reconnect with you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
How can our listeners and viewers who have not had a chance to get in your sphere, in your bubble,
My bubble.
how can they stay in touch with you and start connecting with you?
You can go to the website, PhoenicianProperties.com. That's my company. Log in there and then reach out and say, contact me, and I'll send you a bunch of information. If you have a home, I'll send you information on it, tell you what it's worth every month. We do something called HomeBot, which basically tells you about your home that's sent to you, and it tells you what its current value is, what you paid for it, what your interest rate is, what you'd make when you sell it. And it's a tool just designed for people with homes so they can get an idea. So
there's a fee for that, or that?
No, it's free.
Oh, that's
just let me know
fantastic.
and I'll sign you up.
Yeah.
Just give me your
That's
address and
generous.
email, and that's fine.
Yeah. And are you active on LinkedIn?
I am.
Okay.
Although Daryl reminded me that I forgot to do a few things and I'm supposed to tag some stuff. But
Thanks,
I mean,
Daryl.
I'm active in like late at night going, okay, who did I see today?
Right.
Okay, I got to connect with Karen. Oh, hi, Karen. And then you
Good.
invited me for the show. So thank you so much for having me.
And I'm cracking up because I literally told Daryl, I'm like, yeah, he's been on with us before. And I knew that we had met in person. I forgot it was sitting in my living room.
It's your living room, yeah.
Yeah, because Alicia was across the street at the time.
Yeah.
And I had to look it up, and I see that it was Alicia and a couple other real estate friends. But
She knows other realtors. What's up with that?
Yeah,
Right.
I'd have to look to see it. Again, it's been 5 years. But
I probably
anyway,
know them. It's
we're
all right.
grateful for the introduction
Yes, very much
through
so.
Alicia, and so happy that you wanted to come back and not come back, but come on.
No,
for
it's
the
been
first
fun.
time.
This is
Yeah,
nice.
and thank you for just so much information and knowledge for our folks who are listening today who, either are already a little bit savvy about real estate or think they are, and you've helped clear up some of the confusion and help people see educationally what needs to be done and the things that need to be in place before making a big, big decision.
There's a lot to know. So, yeah.
So much to know. Yeah. Well, good. Thank you again for being here. And again, you can stay connected with Joseph, which either way
Joe,
works for you.
Joseph, yeah.
Phoenicianproperties.com, and also on LinkedIn, Joseph
Scarpignato.
Scarpignato. I can say that. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean residential real estate. Thanks for listening. I'm Karen Nowicki. We'll see you next time.